What's the best way to pay off my mortgage faster?
All right, so this is a question that came in, and we've got a chart for that too. But one of the things that I think, obviously, you have to take a look at several different things. All right, so if you're going to pay off your mortgage quicker, I'll assume that means you don't already have the capital, based on that question. And so now we're going to pay, monthly or something along those lines. We have some extra money. We want to maybe pay that down. What rate do you have? Is it a new mortgage at 6-7%? Is it an old mortgage at 2-something, 3-something percent? Makes somewhat of a difference in how you might take a look at that. But there's quite a few different strategies. Why don't you tell them kind of how out in terms of the extra payment pieces?
Yeah, so one strategy is you round to say you have 4,700 is your standard mortgage payment. So let's round that to 5,000. That's one strategy.
Welcome to Silicon Valley.
That is true. That's actually pretty low.
It is. I know. That's the scary part.
Another one is you could do every 2 weeks you can make a payment, and so the idea is in the end of the year you'd get 26 payments in, and so the idea is you pay off half your mortgage for every 2 weeks, and so you'd get 13 months worth of payments in a 12-month period.
Yeah, and you do the math on those, and they really work. And then one of the main things is you're paying more principal, and it just comes down faster, and there's something to be said for that. But one of the things that also to consider, especially if you have a mortgage, that you either got or refinanced at the lower rates, that's kind of that 2.5 to 3.5 range, something along, maybe even up to 4% range, is the possibility of, maybe you do pay more. Maybe we round off and we pay a little bit more. And we have some extra money. Maybe take that extra money and think about putting it into the market in some format, especially for the longer term if you're not retired yet, and then let it grow. Right. So I've got a picture here. I'll show you of the. I'll use this view. All right. This is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. It's our main index that we use to analyze the market, and it's really just an ETF that Vanguard puts together that has almost all of the U.S. stocks in it. It's a little over 4,000 stocks in there. And so if you look at this is from the bottom of the last big downturn, which was March 9th of 2009, to, today, right? And maybe we're not at the bottom yet here, but that is a $30 a share price that went up to $200. Long time, but if I'm trying to save for paying off my mortgage, maybe I put some into paying down the mortgage quicker, like rounding and those types of things. And then the other extra money I have, I just put into a brokerage account and I buy something like that. I mean, it's well diversified. Yeah, we're going to have some ups and downs, but that's roughly almost seven times your money.
Yeah, and so this is kind of just the opportunity cost. If I use my extra capital to pay down my mortgage, what's the opportunity cost? And you could be invested with that money. And so that's kind of the thought process is, yes, if you're going to like an after-tax account, you're going to have some taxes on that. Is the net return that you could reasonably get better than the interest rates you're paying now? And that's kind of that, what is your time horizon? What are your rates? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, so this is different for everybody. But just, let's say I owe $1 million on my mortgage. And let's say I put money in every month over this period of time, and let's say it adds up to $700,000 in terms of what I put in, but it's worth $1 million. All right. Now I got to pay capital gains tax on an extra $300,000, so I'm still not quite there. But let's just say I have $200,000 of gains. I'm just making up numbers, but my point is, I can have potentially the market help me pay off my mortgage.
Yeah.
Instead of just putting in $1 million into my mortgage of out of my pocket money, I might be able to put something smaller into the market, have the market grow. Again, longer term is a much better way to look at that. If you wanted to do it for any 1 year, don't bother with the market.
Don't risk that.
You might end up with 2022. But if you got, hey, I'm going to try to, I'm 50 years old. I want to retire at 65. I got 15 years. I don't want to have a mortgage at the end. This is not a bad strategy, right? I don't think there's been a 15-year period that hasn't made money. And so basically what would happen then is that you have the market being able to help you to achieve that goal of paying it off. And so anyway, that's something to think about in terms of how that works. If you've got a really high cost mortgage, then that's an issue. You know, if you're at 6 or 7%, market's averaging 11% a year, you might be better off, you know, kind of just paying in that mortgage and getting rid of that just directly. But
Yeah, because like when you're paying a high interest mortgage, that's guaranteed,
yeah.
while the market is not a guarantee.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to say to clients because, you know, they've all asked questions because you look at investing as a probability game. And so one of the things is, you know, what's the probability you're going to pay less on your mortgage? Maybe if you can refinance it, but it's relatively low. It's a fixed rate. What's the probability of you're going to make money in the stock market? Well, that's a lot less likely. You know, it's a lot less certain than it is. So you got a certain outflow and an uncertain inflow. Those don't match together very well sometimes. But again, for those lower cost mortgages, for somebody who has the time, I'd consider this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would do this personally in a heartbeat. And I'd probably, you know, I wouldn't try to go crazy and buy some little stocks and stuff. This is to pay off my mortgage. I would have that money allocated towards something like this, you know, just keep going. It's the whole stock market. It's the U.S., which I like, you know, anyway.
Yeah,
so.
for these, I would kind of keep it simple and stupid. You know,
Yeah.
just broad indexes. You know,
Right.
BND, VTI, some combination of that could
I mean,
probably be safe.
it would be great to find, you know, Apple 20 years ago, and boy, you could pay off your mortgage a lot faster. It'd be great to find Tesla, you know, 10 years ago. You can pay off your mortgage a lot faster, those types of things. But for every one of those, you've got a bunch of them that nobody's talking about where half the money disappeared or, you know, those kind of things. And then you're really spinning your wheels. So I would stick for, you know, you're really interested in this case of trying to pay off that mortgage at retirement, for example. That's a decent way to do it. You know, if you have a shorter timeline, can still work, but I probably anything less than 5 years, I would be weary of trying to do this. But it's something that is worth looking at.